What is up, everybody? Today is December 30th, 2025, and today was my last trading day of the year, and I'm happy to say I closed out 2025 up $3,445 off of one trade I took today. Price action was actually really good. I saw a lot of people complaining. I didn't buy it. I liked it. There's a couple trades you could have taken. All hit. But I'll get into exactly what I took. But before I do that, as per usual, I live trade every single day for free in the Discord. There's a link in the description to join that. My model is possibly the simplest inversion model in the space. No, not possibly. It is the simplest inversion model in the space. I break down my entire model in PDF format, also in the Discord. Go check that out. There's videos of my model, tons of free resources. Get in there. That being said, let's get right into the recap. All right, people, coming into the morning, I had a very similar bias to yesterday. If you watch that trade recap, you'll know what it was, but I will put my bias on screen now. I was leaning semi-bearish towards these relative equal lows and these perfect equal lows we had below. I want to see a little bit of a sell-off, but as you'll see here on screen, we had kind of some LR forming above us at these highs. We had some low resistance liquidity, bunch of stacked up highs. I wanted to see that get ran through, but I wasn't willing to long until we took the equal lows below, and I will show you those right now. All right, you will see we're on the 5-minute time frame, and all the way over here from the overnight session, we have perfect equal lows at 684, like I mentioned in my daily bias. Equal lows for me are the most obvious draws. These are always going to get ran if they're there. I knew these were going to get ran. That's why I wasn't willing to take a long. So that being said, I wasn't willing to long until those get ran. And the last thing that I mentioned in my bias was how we had a massive 15-minute fair value gap. And you will see on the 15-minute time frame, this was the condition for the day. If we held this and continued lower, I knew we were going to run those equal lows and possibly trade lower. And if we inverse this to the upside, I was going to be temporarily bullish until we run all of these highs. After both of those happened, I didn't know what was going to happen, but you'll see exactly how I played it as I carry on. And 9:25, I will drop to the 1-minute time frame and show you how market opened. So you'll see, market opened, we came down, swept out this low, but we didn't take out the equal lows. So like I said, a bunch of people saw this bullish reaction. They wanted to take a long. There was some long opportunities that presented themselves, like an inversion right there, an inversion right there. Nothing I liked. Why? Equal lows. These are going to get hit. You shouldn't be longing right here if we are this close to equal lows. They are going to get hit every single time. I can't emphasize that enough. Equal lows, going to get hit. Watch out for them. Don't miss them. If you can't seem to find them, put on your indicator. As expected, equal lows, going to get swept. They got swept. Now what am I looking for? I'm looking for a rotation to the upside. You saw it in my bias. I knew it coming in the morning. We had stacked highs. I wanted to see a long, and I wanted to see these highs get ran. What entries can I take? Well, we have a 1-minute fair value gap right here. This would be a break-even point. If we were to inverse these fair value gaps, I'd like to get in for a long. 1 minute is highest time frame inversion. We have no 2-minute. We have nothing higher than that. I want to start looking for a long entry. Well, you'll see what happened here when I let price play out is, unfortunately, we chop around. Price is looking bad. Not much volume. And you'll see immediately just rip. All right, long story short, I had no idea what was going on. We got a 1-minute inversion, but it wasn't great because we were still in that 15-minute condition. Why was that 15-minute condition important? Well, we knew it was important. I sent it out in my bias. If we held this 15-minute, we were going to continue lower to the equal lows and possibly lower. We didn't know if this was going to be low of day, but we also had these stacked up highs. So it would have to be some sort of continuation style long. I didn't like anything. It wasn't clean. And to be totally honest, I felt brain dead at this point in time. So what did I do? Nothing. Exactly what I should have done. I sat there and I did absolutely nothing. And I waited and I let price play out. And you'll see that was the right play, because if I let price play, what we did is we started running these highs, slowed down a little bit. But you'll see in the next few candles here, we made a big leg to the upside. And what happened in this leg? Well, guess what? We started sweeping out all of these highs that I was talking about. Low resistance high, low resistance high, low resistance high, low resistance high. All of these hourly highs started getting ran. And once we took this high right here, we had ran most of these highs. The only other high left was this high all the way up here. I knew this. I knew those were the draws on liquidity. So we took one draw. We took another draw. Well, guess what? There's still possible trades because we took another high time frame draw on liquidity. What am I looking for? A rotation to the downside. We just swept out most of that low resistance liquidity. The orders were filled. All I was looking for was a rotation to the downside. All that being said, we had a couple things that I was worried about. We had an unfilled 5-minute fair value gap below. This is one of my most common draws on liquidity that I trade. I know, despite this big move up, we may continue higher, but we may totally flip and reverse. But no matter what, we're going to want to rebalance this range. Why? We always rebalance big ranges that we make. This 5-minute aligned perfectly with the equilibrium of the range, while also being one of those high time frame fair value gaps that are commonly rebalanced that I always talk about. Look, equilibrium, 5-minute fair value gap. Such an obvious draw. I wanted to see this get traded to. That being said, all I was waiting for was a highest time frame inversion. We had an SMT at these highs, swept a high time frame area of liquidity. All I'm looking for is a V-shaped recovery inversion off this area of liquidity because I know I have a good draw of liquidity below. We have this unfilled 5-minute as a target. What else do we have? Pre-market lows. Well, not pre-market lows. Earlier morning lows. Lows from 9:45. This is a pretty obvious low. We knew we had draws to the downside too. We have that 4-hour low that I talked about below, down here. Know the draw could possibly be lower, especially if we get a good reaction off that high. So I just was waiting for the highest time frame inversion in the current trading leg. This was the current trading leg. We had 2 1-minute fair value gaps. What else did we have? 2-minute fair value gap. All I was waiting for was an inversion of this 2-minute gap. That was the only thing that was stopping us from hitting this 5-minute fair value gap. If that's inverse, I know we're going to hit that gap 95% of the time. And guess what? Within the next 2 candles, we inverse that 2-minute to the downside. This was all I needed to enter my trade. You heard it. We have all the other confluences. This was a great setup. What also happened? Look right here. This happened precisely at 10 a.m. We saw a 10 a.m. reversal. Time and price was aligned flawlessly. 10 a.m. open high, looking for a low close. Got the inversion. That is where I entered short. I placed my stop loss at the swing high, but I wasn't going to let myself fully get stopped out up there. I told the stream, if we trade back through this 2-minute fair value gap we just made to the upside, I was going to manually close my position so I wouldn't soak a full-size loss. So my stop loss was going to be somewhere in this general range. I was targeting that unfilled 5-minute fair value gap, and I was using 9:45 lows as my final draw. I'll let it play out. So you'll clearly see here, using that 5-minute as my first take profit and my break-even point, we ran swiftly to that draw. At this point, I went break-even on my trade. Hit that first take profit, filled the unfilled 5-minute. I didn't know if we were going to trade through it. I didn't. I never know. But I knew it was a good first draw on liquidity. That's why I took off 5 micro contracts at this draw. I was in on 8 accounts. I took 5 micros off, so half of my position at this first take profit, and I was letting the rest of it run all 275 ticks to this low. Now, here's the sad part. You see this weird doji candle right here that traded almost up to the entry? Well, on my 3 accounts that I have with Alpha Futures, my entry was just ever so slightly lower just because a little bit of slippage, and this candle wicked me out at break even. So I only had made $165 on my 3 Alpha accounts because obviously the first take profit wasn't far away, and it stopped the rest of my position out on break even. Good news, my 5 MyFunded Futures accounts were left in running towards this low. We'll see what happens if I let this play out is we start trading lower, start trading through this gap. Everything's looking fine and dandy. And on this candle right here, we had put in an SMT with ES at this 9:45 low. Now, me personally, I do not ever hold trades through an SMT at my draw on liquidity. I saw this SMT get put in, and as soon as my little alert popped up from TradingView that ES crossed that low, I manually exited my position, and I took off all 5 accounts in with 5 micro contracts remaining at this low. That was 236 ticks away, and that secured me just over, let's see here, $590 on my MyFunded Futures accounts that was left running after my partial take profit got hit. So I made just about $3,000 on my MyFunded Futures accounts with a little bit of slippage and $165 on my 3 Alpha Futures accounts, totaling for my pocket watchers $3,445 across my 8 funded accounts I took this trade on. You see, after letting that trade play out, there was nothing else I really liked throughout the session. I mean, I knew some people longed in this area because we had another SMT, like an internal SMT here. I wasn't really interested in taking longs, but I didn't mind possibly catching a trade in this leg. Only problem was that 15-minute condition. I know some members in my server and myself personally actually forward tested a long. Somewhere in this range, there's a 3-minute inversion targeting this hourly high, and this long did play out. Some of the guys took it in the server. I forward tested it just because I had that 15-minute condition set in my bias, so I wasn't willing to take that trade, and that's fine. I waited for what I felt to be the better setup, and clearly it paid off handsomely. Overall, great trading day. Like I said, simplest inversion model in the space. If you can't recognize this stuff, it's pretty simple. Go watch the boot camp. I have a full boot camp on my page, all the confluences that I use in my model, along with breaking down the model in itself. Also, tons of free resources in the Discord. No harm to join. Everything's totally free. But that was what I had for today. Tomorrow, the next day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I won't be trading. I will still be live tomorrow, but I am very happy with how I ended 2025. I've had a crazy good December, and I'm not falling victim to any of the bad December price action propaganda you see people posting about. I'm trading through December, and I had a great December. So always, I preach, determine whether you're in trade or not for yourself. Don't listen to your favorite influencer who's saying you shouldn't do this or you should do this. Find out for yourself, because none of you have the experience that those guys have, and you need to build your own experiences. So that's one thing that I always preach to my community. But anyways, it's been a blessed year trading alongside you guys. Tune into the videos. I recap every trade I take along with trading live with you every single day for free. Enjoy your New Year's. Go have fun tonight. Go get lit tomorrow night. And start 2026 with a bang. And I hope you all have a good holiday weekend. And I will see you all next week.